How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions. And of course, I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back. And these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. And in today's God-conscious topic, we're just going to talk about the gifts of God, right? So I find it interesting with this topic because so oftentimes we go through this awakening process, right? And in this process, we start to learn and then we start to get I guess you would say, the intuitive nudges to start studying topics, right? So oftentimes you'll find people, they pray to God for wisdom, they pray to God for knowledge, they pray to God for, gifts, whether that be psychic or, just, I would say above average knowledge, right? And oftentimes a lot of us, we ask for those things, but when God wants to give those things to us, we're not used to seeing those things the way that they come in, right? So I do believe that there is this, I would say that there's this often this way that God does give it to us where we're just blessed with it, right? And then there's, I would say, like an uploading, like if you want to go back into like the Matrix, where like you can just upload information and you have the knowledge, right? But oftentimes there is a process, right, that a lot of us have to follow. And within that process, it's like this, you ask for knowledge, and then God puts the right book in front of you, right? Or that right person that has the knowledge that you're trying to obtain. But what are the things that are getting in the way of that knowledge? Well, it's either laziness because you don't want to read the book, or maybe it's because the author doesn't meet the criteria, or maybe that person doesn't meet the criteria that you think that they should meet, right? Maybe that person has the knowledge but doesn't have the paper, like the education diploma, but they can still give you the knowledge that you need. Sometimes God does that to test us. So it's usually, as I say, it's not just the journey, it's not just uploading the information right to us. What good is that when sometimes we need other things that need to be looked at as well? So I believe that when God, that's why it's a God-conscious topic, right? I believe that He utilizes all informations, all pathways for us within each process. So it's not just one process, it's multiple processes, right? So let's use me for an example. I find myself to be intellectual, right? I find myself to be this spiritual guru of sorts. And sometimes I find that people that I never thought would be able to teach me stuff all the time. And I think the reason why that happens is because, one, God is always wanting us to expand, always wanting us to have growth, not just spiritually, but physically, emotionally, in multiple parts of our lives, right? So I always smile at what's possible for us within God's, because you can miss some of the lessons, but He's giving us multiple in just one, right? So getting back to the topic, we ask for wisdom or knowledge, and then the person in front of us is trying to give it to us, and God's like, here, I gave it to you, bud. But then we don't want to acknowledge it. Our ego gets in the way, right? What does ego mean? Edging God out. Oftentimes we start making those excuses, right? Well, I don't have time to read this book, or I don't have time to deal with this person. This person's rude. I know for me, I'm like a gentle person, right? So I want people to approach me with the same respect that I give them. And so this old programming that I used to have is it took a long time to drop anger, and it took a long time to stop being that brute. And so now when people come to me with that, I would say that force, I don't respond well to it. And so, it's crazy how that works, right? So I was like that, and now because I changed, now I can't deal with it. It's so God is asking me to grow within the process, right? So so I guess what I'm trying to say is, what are you asking God for? Whoever your God is, and I always say this as well, this is why I love talking about the God conscious. It goes under my God conscious topic, is because I don't think God is just one religion. And so like if you ask every religion if God is the ultimate God, they say yes. And so if that's the case, God made all those religions at the end of the day. So you can't just say that it's one. I think that there's many paths to the ultimate, right? To the one creator. Now, even I have a biased opinion, when I say that it's, all these certain names of God, but like, who's to say that the Indian God, Lord Shiva, or who's the other one? Oh, I forget right now, but Vishnu. So there's three of them actually. I can't remember the third one, but Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and then there's another one. But who's to say that those aren't the three? Those are the old gods, right? But what if what if Vishnu is the ultimate god of all of it? And it's all just an offspring at the end of the day. So like, we don't know, right? But it's always good to expand our knowledge, and that's why I made this topic, because I don't want there to be borders between religions, because then we treat religions, like I say, like a baseball or basketball team. Mine's better than yours, but they all essentially play the same game. So getting back to it, you guys. So ask yourself, what am I asking from God today, and how am I getting in my own way? And that always kind of points you in the right direction, right? Whatever it is that you're asking for. And so it's like in two, it's like sometimes the lesson comes from a life experience. What is life throwing at you today that's actually teaching you something? Maybe you've been asking to gain, knowledge, but God's giving you knowledge through experience. And that experience is that person coming into your life that's kind of shaking things up. And then we get uncomfortable with that person because they're shaking things up. But it's actually, you asked for it at the end of the day. And so if you really wanted to go down deep within all of it, we all know that like the central, so we think about everything being the concept of the mind, right? So the mind is just one platform in this human experience that we're having. So if your mind, everything comes from the mind, and everything is manifested within the thought first, and then it manifests through the word, the action, the feeling, and then it advances from there into the physical, right? Because you started out as a thought, because you a thoughty. No, I'm just kidding. So what am I trying to say at the end of the day? If it all comes from that thought process, then that tells you something, that you called it in. So if you're calling all these different situations, that whether you call them a problem, or I don't have time for it, or whatever the excuses that we use in the day, just sit back and relax and say, you know what? How can I transmute this? What is it trying to teach me? I know when I do that, you guys, it really has changed the game up for me. I start approaching life from a different angle, and it almost always works out for me. And if I don't learn it right away, I'll eventually get it. But yeah, so I'm going to start talking more about the God conscious topic. I noticed that I didn't have enough videos. I have 18 videos, so I'm gonna start hitting it hard again, you guys. I'm gonna get back and start uploading a lot more videos. Just give it another good push. But I love you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and give me a thumbs up for this video. All right, guys.